like hours, they expand and shrink. Memories blur faster than you think. A moment's forever, the next.
Hi there, and welcome to Kat Creates. My name is Kat, and I like to make things. And for lack of really much anything else to do in this video, due to a very busy schedule, I decided to just do a knit with me, a little podcast style. So if that sounds good to you, grab your whip. I've got mine, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And let's just do a little bit of yapping today. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was my finished objects. I do have a couple of finished objects from the last time I really talked in any of my videos. So I did want to just talk about those first. And the first one that I have is the Northern Augustine's number 4 pullover sweater by Anne Sophie Norby Velling. I made mine in the size 3. I hit gauge on the recommended needles, which I believe were a 5mm and a 6mm. And I used the Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino and Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the colors Eucalyptus and Cream. Now, this sweater was an absolute dream to work up, let me tell you. I had made a colorwork sweater last year and I loved it, so I knew I wanted to make another one this year going into 2026, and I probably will make another one later in the year because it was very fast. I started this on January 28th and I finished it on January 19th. Now, this was a worsted weight project between the heavy merino and the mohair, holding it double all throughout. So it was very quick using moderately large size needles. So that definitely played its part into it being a very quick project. Hold on, what am I doing here? Okay, yeah, that was right. Goodness, trying to talk while working on this at the same time is fun. Anyway, so the sweater was a top-down round yoke. So you start by casting on the required stitches for the neckline. You were supposed to do, I believe it's called Judy's special cast on, where you cast on using 2 different needles. And then you fold it over and you knit 2 together to fold over the neckband using 2 sets of needles. I did not want to do that. So I decided to just do what I normally do. I just cast it on normally using a long tail cast on, and then I folded it over and I knit 2 together using it that way. I find it's very easy to knit 2 together using a rib stitch, especially when the stitches are very visible. And using a chunky yarn or a bulky yarn like that, it was very easy to read. And then once you finish your neck, you just start your collar, you just go into the round yoke, which immediately starts working into the color work. The color work was very, very easy to understand using the chart. I had a good time. Never deviated from the pattern except for like the last 3 rounds. And that was simply because the last 3 rounds were just like a single stitch of the cream for the end of the ribbon tail on one of the legs of the ribbon. And I didn't want to carry floats for a single white stitch for every single round. So I did just cut it 3 rows short and said, you know what, I'm just going to start doing green only here, and I'm just gonna call it. And I don't think you can tell in the slightest that I did that. So I think it's fine. After you do that, you just do stockinette for the body, splitting for the sleeves. And you do the body. The body was not very long. And then similar to the, what did I just do? Yeah. And then once you finish the body, similar to the collar, you do a knit one, purl one rib for the bottom ribbing. And you do that for a good length because you also fold that in half to knit two together at the end. And then you do a similar thing. You pick up the stitches for the sleeves, stockinette stitch. They were just straight sleeves. There was no decreasing in the sleeves on that one, which was interesting to me, but it made these really, really cozy, large, round sleeves. I don't think I'll do that again in a sweater. I do like a more tapered sleeve, but it was still really pretty and it's very cozy. So for this sweater in particular, I enjoy it, but I don't think I'll do it again. And then I finished that on, like I said, the 19th, and I washed it, I blocked it, and it took 3 dang days to dry because she was thick. And I probably didn't drain enough water out when I was blocking it because I only have like 4 extra towels in my house. So I ran out. Um, but it came out perfectly. It fits amazing. I then had to weave in like 50 ends because I don't weave in my ends till after I block it. I find it better that way. But yeah, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. I am very pleased with the outcome. So I will get lots and lots of wear out of that sweater. It is unfortunately already getting warm. I did get to wear it though. I'll talk about that after I finish talking about all my current projects and stuff. And I get more into like the yapping portion about myself. But yeah, it is already getting warm, so I won't be able to get much wear out of it until later in the year. But for now, I'm very happy. And then I finished that on, like I said, I finished that on the 19th. And that same day, I received my Valentine's Day gift from my boyfriend. Now, I am in a long distance relationship, so life is kind of hard. But I had told him how I have always wanted to knit with cashmere, but I have never had the opportunity to use it because it is quite expensive. So he very, very kindly gifted me 2 balls of cashmere that he ordered online for me. He gave me the Sandnes Skarn cashmere in the colors matcha and a dark green I don't know the name of. I just know one is called matcha. And that is this. This was my second finished object that I have done. This is the tulip scarf by Soup Knits. I did make the same pattern last year, and I used an acrylic yarn. Now, the main body of the scarf, or the beside the tulips, is stockinette stitch, and stockinette stitch has the tendency to curl in on itself. And on the acrylic one that I made, I could not block it. I could not block it flat. So I knew with a more natural fiber it would work, and it did. It worked beautifully. I love this little scarf so much. It means so much to me. It's so cute. And I realize I'm wearing it upside down on camera, but here, let me just, yeah. There you go. Little tulips. Okay, maybe it's not going to work. Whatever. It's so pretty. Just trust me. It's so pretty. This was one full ball, so I only had enough for one. I tried desperately to find a pattern that I could use both balls for. But the meterage of 2 balls was just a little off on every project I was interested in. I'm like, oh, what if I make a pair of mittens And most of the mitten patterns that I saw required like a ball and a half of one color and like half a ball of another. So technically I have enough. And maybe I could have done like mismatching where the main color is like the matcha on one and the secondary is the dark green and then the other one is just reverse. And that would have looked really cool. But I decided I'm just going to make two separate projects with those ones. So this was one of them. I love it. It is so soft. It is so soft. So this pattern is worked, it's just a little mini scarf. It starts with 7 stitches. The ends are done in a 2x1 cable, one going left, one going right on their respective edges. I feel like you cannot tell that it's a cable. And that is probably my only complaint about this pattern is that the cable detail just does not really show. Even looking at it up close, it just looks kind of twisted. And for it being a cable on the edge of the scarf, it's a little frustrating to deal with because you're working with 3 stitches on very delicate yarn on 3.5mm needles. And I dropped stitches so many times, I panicked. The final result, stunning, love it. Don't know if I like the cable on the ends. Maybe I would do like the I-cord, like how Petite Knit has on the Sophie scarf. I might do that if I make this pattern again. But overall, the pattern is super cute, super lovely. It is not the pattern I'll be using for the second ball, which takes me into my next topic I wanted to mention, which was my WIPs. I did start a scarf using the dark green cashmere. I could not work on it at that time. My head just wasn't focusing. I dropped stitches multiple times. And it's a darker yarn, so it was really hard to see. And just working with dark colors is just hard for me. My eyes are not really that good. So I'll have to use my neck light for that one, which is nice and dorky. So I'll never show me using it on camera, probably. Anyway, I started this scarf. I believe it's called the Ellie scarf. It's very cute. And I really do want to make it, but it just wasn't working with me. So I ripped it out. I ended up with dropping stitches. Like I said, I was off on stitch counts and I don't typically fall off my stitch counts. I'm very good about that. So I was just struggling. So for that one, I did rip it out and I was like, you know what, just whatever. Maybe I'll make a Sophie scarf. So I cast on a Sophie scarf. I started working it. And it turns out I've been making Sophie scarves wrong for the past like 2 years. I have been increasing every 6 rows, and you're supposed to increase every 8 rows. It's not that big of a deal. It just makes your increases faster, so your triangle isn't quite as long. And I don't know. I always thought it was every 6. Maybe I have been doing it right, but ever since I started making these Sophie hoods, which have the option of 6, 8, or 10 row increases, depending on which size you're making, that might have done it for me and tricked my brain because I've been making the small size of the Sophie hood for a couple of times in a row now and may have made like 3. So I think that might have done it for me. That might be why. But that one wasn't working either for me because I wanted to be long and skinny like this one. So I ripped it out again and I decided I am just going to work on this project before I focus on that one in a couple of weeks. I'm not going to finish this before then. But this project that I'm working on is the Orchid Bloom pullover by Sari Nordlund. I have made this before. I made this last year in a very beautiful icy blue color. I believe I used the Hobby Friends sock wool held double with the Diablo mohair. If you've watched the last couple of videos that I've made, I've mentioned it a couple of times now, but I just didn't take a gauge swatch when I made that sweater. And it ended up just being really small. Um, Actual knit wise, I think it looks really good. I'm really proud of how it came out. I think my stitches were really even. I think the work was done very well. It's just not the right size. Um, and that's completely on me. So for this one, I did do a gauge swatch. I am full needle size up on this pattern. The lace work on the pattern calls for a 3 millimeter. I am using a 4 millimeter. And then I believe I do the body in a 4.5. So my gauge is a little bit tighter, I would say. Um, so this one, I do have a couple progress, like vertical clips that I was taking because I wanted to do a short when I'm done. So I'll show a couple of those clips in here of me wearing it when I'm like transitioning to larger needles and stuff. I think it's very cute. I will say this has been very difficult to focus on. Um, I have made so many mistakes on this one. I There was a round that I did that I just completely lost track of, and I ended up flipping the stitches that needed to be done. So like if the pattern called for knit one, yarn over, knit one, purl one, I ended up purling one, yarn over, knit one, whatever. I flipped the entire row. And instead of, but I only did it, okay, I didn't flip the entire row. I flipped the row for like 3/4 of the row, but I didn't realize it till I was working on the next row as I'm working into it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not redoing this. So I physically like switched the stitches and twisted them around. I genuinely don't think you can tell. So I think it will be fine. This is still looking really, really pretty regardless. Let me get you a little bit more clips here of it, show you a little bit more. But I really love this patterns. And then Sari keeps making more patterns, and I keep seeing them going, girl, I want to make more of your stuff. She just has a beautiful style. I'm struggling to show this off right now. I'll show clips. It's fine. Um, but yeah, this lace work is just really pretty. I'm gonna take this off. It's itchy my neck right now. I've had it on all day. Um, and yeah, so I'm finding it hard to focus on. But since I picked it up about 3 or 4 days ago, I have done, it looks like about 13 rows. Um, Actually, I think I did like 20, 15 rows. I did like 15 rows in the past few days, which doesn't sound like a lot, but each round, if I'm focusing on it, it takes me like 30 minutes. Um, and I work full time. I do have a job, unfortunately, a job in this economy. Um, I do work full time. So it does unfortunately take away my time from knitting, but I do also have the luxury of working from home. So I do occasionally get to work on this while I'm working. Don't tell my boss. I may have been working on it during my meeting yesterday. But then I have days like today where I was really busy and I didn't have time to work on it at all. So this is the first time I am touching this all day. And that's just life. Um, So I have done, like I said, about like 15 rows since picking this up about 4 or 5 days ago. Um, I think my goal is to try and finish this chart that I have copied over onto my notebook. I have all of this left to do before I dig into another project like the Ellie scarf for the cashmere. Which then brings me into my next topic I wanted to mention, which is upcoming projects. Now, I'm going to side tangent from that topic to tell a little story. Um, Several years ago, my mom used to work in a yarn store. like a local yarn shop, not like Joann's or Michael's, which she has worked at Joann's in the past, but she used to work at a local yarn shop in the city she lived in at the time. And when she worked there, she made a lot of projects for the yarn store. She just had a lot of time to knit. And she also got a lot of yarn, a lot of nice yarn at that. So I'm talking luxury types of materials like alpaca, silk, yak, cashmere, just beautiful textiles to work with. So yeah, she got a lot of yarn. And then she's reached the point where she reached out to me and she's like, "Hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to use all of this yarn. Would you like to take a look at some?" Twist my arm. "I will take that burden away from you." I recognize that this is a very great privilege. And so she and I sat down for a couple of hours up in her office and we looked at all of her yarn, went through it. And there were some that she will not give me, which is completely fair. Some of them hold sentimental value. Like she used to do yarn crawls. She would go on knitting retreats a lot. And a lot of things just hold memories because she's made a lot of friends doing this over the years, which is just completely fair. I'm never going to take something that's sentimental to her. But other stuff, she was just like, "Here, take this. What do you think of this? Do you want this?" I'm like, "Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'll take it." So I ended up leaving with this very large tote filled with yarn and a couple of goodies, as we can see here on top. So I wanted to talk about some of this real quick. Now, I think I will go into more depth about this in my next video. This was a couple weeks ago, but I've just been so focused on other things in my life, and this was not the main focus. But there's a lot in here. And what I want to do is go through a project planning video, just so I can put some projects together for this yarn. I do have a couple of ideas of what I want to make though, so I just wanted to talk about that real quick because there's a lot in here. First of all, like I said, she used to make things for the store. Like she would make the samples that you would see if you walk into a local yarn shop. You might see mannequins wearing some patterns, whatever's trending at the time, maybe, or a newly released pattern, or if something is like an upcoming workshop for the store, she might have made that for the store. Or just something pretty to wear to put on the mannequin. I don't know. I don't really know the main reasoning. But she pulled out one of the totes in her closet and she showed me this. And tell me that this is not so freaking pretty. I will try and get clearer shots to show this. But I saw this and like I pulled it out and I looked at her and I held it. I just went, "Can I have this?" It's just been hiding in her closet for like 5 to 7 years or something like that. I don't know. So she said, yeah, obviously I didn't just steal it. She said, yes, you can have it. And then we went through more of her stuff and I'm like, you need to start wearing some of these things because she made so many shawls that are just so pretty and they're just hiding in a tote in her closet upstairs in her room she barely goes into. So I made her pull out a couple and I made her wear them. I'm like, just wear this somewhere nice. Go to dinner, wear it to church, do whatever you want, but like wear it. It needs to be worn. You worked on this. Anyway, so this is one of them. I did ask her for the pattern name. We found it on Ravelry. It is the Sharon Shawl or Sharon Show by Casapinka. I have no idea what yarns were used because she used a lot of yarn. But it's so cute. Oh my God, the blue is so vibrant on camera. But I thought this was so pretty. I thought it was really pretty. I like it a lot. So this one I did get from her and I will rock this in the spring on like a chilly spring night. That sounds so lovely for my dog walks. Wearing that just draped over my shoulders. The second thing that I took from her, I say take, the second thing that she made that she gave me was this one. This is a little asymmetrical triangle shawl. I don't have the pattern for this one, I'm not gonna lie. The only reason I wanted this, so stupid. My dog, right back here, this is Pumpkin. She's a beautiful baby girl. This yarn is called Pumpkin Spice. That's it. That's the only reason. She had like half a ball of it on her shelf, and she's like, I used that for something. And then we looked at her stuff, and then we found the something that she made with it. And this was just this really pretty asymmetrical triangle shawl. So also something I will be wearing on those chilly spring nights, but I don't need a coat. And then that's it for projects of hers that she had made that I took, or that she gave me. I keep saying I took. I didn't take them. She gave them to me because they were just hiding. I did ask. So, and if she wants them back, she's welcome to have them back. But I don't think she wants them because they were hiding in a box in her closet upstairs. Anyway, so into the actual yarn that she gave me as well. So the first one that I have a project for is this one. This is so pretty, by the way. This is Emma's Yarn, Crazy Beautiful Color, Practically Perfect Sock in the color Conifer. Now, this I have the plan to use for another creator here on YouTube, Woozy by Celine. I've watched a couple of her videos. Her videos, actually, her video from last year is where I got her video. It was the spring knits to make you feel like a flower, I believe. I got this pattern, the tulip scarf, and the orchid bloom pullover in that same video. So she has great taste in patterns. And she has a pattern of her own. I do not remember what it's called. I have it saved, but it is a little bonnet. And in her pattern, she used a skein of sock yarn held double with mohair. Now, I have plenty of mohair upstairs. She needs, I believe she said she used just under 2 balls, which I should have enough of some shade of green and or blue and or white. So I will have the proper yarn to use for this project. I'll find one that fits best. I will not need to order. I will not do it. But anyway, so that is what this is going to be for. This I took this one with the intention of that particular pattern because I had been dreaming of it. It's so pretty. She uses this really beautiful star stitch throughout the pattern, and I really like the double knit edging that she does for the edge of the bonnet as well as the strings that she uses to tie it. It's a really, really cute pattern. So that is what this is for. And then I have a bunch of other stuff in here. The only other things I kind of have a plan for are these. Oh, I have acquired 10 skeins of this. This is the Classic Elite Inca Marl 100% alpaca. This is 100 meters. I have 10 skeins of it, so it's 1,000 meters. And I have this. This is the Riley by Hiku special order, non-returnable. This is 50% baby alpaca, 25% mulberry silk, and 25% linen. I have 2 of these, which is 250 meters each, so 500 meters. So I have 1,500 meters of these yarns. And what I think I will be doing, I haven't picked a pattern out specifically. I am still looking, and if you have one in mind, please help. But I think a cardigan would be best for these because the intention is I will use this yarn for the body of the cardigan, and then I will use this for the button band, the cuffs, and the bottom ribbing. And I think I should have enough to do that. These are worsted weight yarns. They're so soft. They are so, so freaking soft. So I'm very excited to use those, and that will be an upcoming project sometime soon. Since they are bigger yarns, I think that project would go very fast, but I know that cardigans do take a while longer for me because it is back and forth and not in the round, and it just goes faster when you're in the round. So there's a lot more in here that I think is just so pretty, and I just don't know what to do with it entirely. I do have things like this, which I believe this is a cotton yarn. Wait, I have one with a tag. Yeah, this is cotton. So I have like 3 balls of this. I have a few balls of like 2 other types of cotton in here. So for those, I'll probably be making like some cute tops for the summer or spring. And then another thing I've really wanted to do, there's a pattern I have in mind, but I can't think of the name of it. And I meant to look it up before starting recording, and I record on my phone. So I can't look it up right now. But one thing I've been interested in trying is boucle, specifically 2-color boucle. I have not done boucle of any variety.
Hey, editing cat here to say I meant brioche, not boucle. Brioche knitting. I have never tried brioche knitting before.
But I typically pick things up pretty well, so I think I'll be able to do it. I will, at the very least, try. And there is this newly released pattern I will show here that it's a hooded scarf. I am obsessed with hooded scarves. See the 3 Sophie scarves I have made, 4 Sophie scarves I have made in the past like 3 months. So definitely a win. But because the way that 2-color boucle works, it's a, I don't really know how to describe it because I've never done it. I've looked it up a little bit, but it's like a knit purl type of stitch, but you do it using slip stitches. So it creates a double-sided project, and it's really pretty. So I have some yarns for that I might use, like this one. Let me actually pull it out of this plastic bag so we can see it. Like this I would probably not use in anything crazy because I am not into crazy multicolors like this, but I think as a hooded scarf, that would be beautiful. This is crazy. This is 30% mohair, 30% new wool, which I think is virgin wool. It also says extra fine merino in here. There's a lot of languages. Part of them are Italian. 20% polyamide or nylon, 10% cotton, 10% acrylic. So there's a lot going on in here. Very soft, very squishy. I have 2 of those. So I probably have enough to use that as one color. And then I have, I don't know, something else in here. I also have this. I have 2 of these. This is like a bulky yarn that is 50% alpaca, 50% wool, 20% nylon. These colors are so bright, and I am not one to use very bright colors. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. One thing I do want to do actually with this yarn, I made a video, the only like viral video that I've made, which was the top 5 patterns on Ravelry. I made that video, and one of the things I made was the Musselburgh hat, and I was not very happy with how mine turned out. However, I did help my mom recently start one because she wanted to make one. And we learned how to do a proper gauge swatch on that hat. So one thing I want to do is make a new one, and I will probably just end up using some of the single skeins of yarn that I have in here because I have a few random hanks and skeins in here that just aren't enough to make a project on itself. So I will probably do that. And yeah, that'll just make really good gifts to give out. So I'll probably make a couple of scarves, a couple of random hats. There's just so much yarn in here, and it's so pretty, and I don't want any of it to go to waste. So I will probably make some stuff for people because I don't need all of these things. There's definitely things I'll be making for myself because I am kind of a greedy knitter. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I just know what I like and I want to make things for myself. But I am trying to knit for other people as well. But that's it as far as my upcoming projects go. I have a lot to plan. So, like I said, I think that's gonna be my next video is just going through this big old tote right here and planning some official projects for these, just based on yarn weight and quantity of which I have. So that will probably be the next video. I'm going to call it here. I've been talking for a while. So thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you had a good time. I hope I was good company for you if you wanted some company while you were working on something. Please tell me what you're working on. Please give me show recommendations. Please tell me book recommendations. And if you had a good time, please also give this video a thumbs up. If you like me enough, you want to stick around, feel free to subscribe. I do put out videos every other Sunday. Usually they're a little bit more thought out than this, but not all the time. Not all the time. Sometimes we just want to talk. Sometimes I just want to talk. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you have a great rest of your day wherever you are in the world. Stay safe. Take care. I love you. Bye.